All right, so these are the questions that I'm going to be going through in this video. And this is not dealing with good and evil versus free will. Free will, I'm assuming that we have free will. Some atheists like to argue that, if God knows everything and so forth, and then we don't have free will and so forth. So I'm not going to get into that part. So first question is, why didn't God create the environment so that we as a species lean toward doing more good than bad? So this would have been very simple for him to do. That is, we have free will, so that of course our free will is limited to our nature. That is, we have thresholds of what we can choose to do and not to do. I can't choose to just burn up people with a thought. I can't just think of my neighbor catching on fire and he does. I can't fly around like Superman. I can't imagine AIDS disappearing and it just vanishes. So I'm limited to the amount of good and bad I can do based on my nature. So as it is, God already put a threshold. He already put a limitation on us. A limitation on how much good and bad we can do. And let's just say the limitation is represented as thus right now. That is, right now, we're capable of doing that much good and that much bad. Now we need to compare it with something. So let's say he could have created us to be able to do this much bad and good. And let's say that represents being able to think of people catching on fire. They do. We'd be able to do a lot more bad if we had mind powers like that. And being able to think of AIDS being God and it's gone. So if we had that much, and that would also balance it out. And it would be even worse if it was like this, because then it would be unbalanced. Then the good wouldn't balance out the bad. And then, at least this way, the good mind powers can balance out the bad mind powers. But he could also have created us with this much limitation. We'd still have free choice. We just would be limited more to how much free choice we have, how much bad and good we can choose to do. So one thing we know is that God created us with this much limitation. He could have created us more or less. If he created us with less limitation, we would still be free will beings. We'd still choose. He would still have beings that are choosing him and over evil. So limiting it wouldn't really be a bad thing. It would actually be a good thing, because then we would do more good things, or we'd do less evil things. There wouldn't be as much suffering on the earth. But let's get back to the first question. He could have altered the environment. He could leave us with this kind of choice. So fine, this is what he wanted. So let's say that's what we are. Let's leave it at that. But he could have altered the environment, the planet which we live on. By altering the environment, he can alter the way we act. So right now, human beings, let's say, this is good, this is bad, and there's a scale, right? So right now, where are we at on that scale? We're like doing a lot more bad than good, right? Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's something like this, but we're doing more bad than good right now, and we have been for a long time. So we are bad people doing more bad than good. Actually, technically, I think it'd have to be this way, huh? Because, the weight would weigh down. So we're doing more bad than we are good. Okay. So we're doing more bad than good. And he could have altered the environment in such a way that even we would still have the same amount of free choice. It'd be no different. But because of our environment, we would be choosing to do more good than bad. For example, if there wasn't so much suffering, and we had more of a utopia society, we would be more prone to doing good. And psychology has shown this. But nonetheless, God could have created our environment in such a way that he influences us through the environment to do more good than bad. So he must have wanted us to do more bad than good. Why? If God is himself good, why would God have set it up that we do more bad than good? Why would have God created us like this? Or create us like this, like he did, but give us a different environment that we do more good than bad, if he himself is good. And I think this is evidence that this good God doesn't exist, because he made it to where we're doing more evil than good, and he could have made the environment to where we, by our own free will, so don't go, oh, he wanted to have free will. I always hear that answer. That's like people don't listen. This is not about free will. We have this much free will. We know we can make this amount of choices of good and bad. And these people living in a different planet would do less evil than we do. Same amount of free will as we have. They're identical as us. They can choose the same things we can, but they choose to do more good than bad because they live in a better environment. Okay, next question then. Some people say, well, I believe in a deistic God. So why doesn't the deistic God use its power to alter the environment so that we do more good than bad? So I can't ask, why didn't the deistic God just make us like this? Because the deistic God, well, he could have, but the deistic God really, some don't even believe he created anything. But he's not a God if he doesn't have power. So the question is, for the deistic God, if he has the power to transfer us to another planet, or to change our planet to be like this more utopia planet where we do more good than bad, then why doesn't, if that deistic God is a good God, why doesn't he alter the environment with his power? And if he doesn't have that power, then he's not a God. So stop calling it God then. But if he does have that power, then fine. Why doesn't he use it to alter our environment that we do more good than bad? Or he is just not that good, is he? Because a good person would do that. Why didn't God design us so that our free will threshold is such that we lean more toward doing good than bad? And that was this one here. Why did he create us like this? With a less threshold, we do more good than bad. Or like this, to where we automatically do more good than bad. That is, he could have created us like this, the same, or he could have created us like this. So we do slightly more good than bad. Just create us that way. We still have choices, but our threshold is not balanced. We have more good choices than bad choices. Naturally, we do more good than bad. He could create us that way. Why didn't he? If he's a good God. Okay, now the last one is, he clearly limited our ability to do good and bad, right? So we can only do so much good and so much bad. So why didn't he limit that threshold more? Which is the same thing of what I just said here. So if God is good, why didn't he do one of these options? He has several options. Even the deistic God has options. He could have created us with a less threshold altogether, so we just can't do as much evil. That is, the evil we do wouldn't be as bad. Instead of like up here, we're killing people, burning people like we're doing now, doing crazy things. We'd just be like stealing from each other and lying to each other. We wouldn't be like up here killing each other, and sociopaths wouldn't exist. And if he created us like this, then the amount of bad we can do, we still have the choices to do bad. It's just the amount of bad we do is not that bad. The worst thing we can choose to do is rob a bank or something. We can't choose to murder each other. But we can choose to do these really, really great, fantastic things. And again, let's say he wanted us to be like that, then why not create us in a planet where we would automatically, by the same way we are now, that is just, if he transferred all human beings to another planet, we'd all act different. Why not change the environment then? Use his power, change the environment to where we do more good than bad on a whole. He could do that, where we do more good than bad. That is, where we don't have sociopaths, where we don't have that many. We have a society that pretty much gets rid of sociopaths, and they don't really exist. And so we don't have all these murderers and missing children and rapes and child molestations. We'd be the same people, but with a different environment, we'd act differently. And the fact he did do none of those things shows that he must have wanted it the way it is now, which means he's really not that good of a person. And some people might be like, well, maybe he is a really good person, but there's like a purpose for it, even though we can't understand what that purpose would be. But there's blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Try to make an argument where he seems like a good person when he had all these other options and didn't choose them. And I don't really have enough time in this video, so I'll make another video for suffering. And I get into questions about suffering, like similar ideas about thresholds of suffering. And so, I'll go ahead and make that one next.